Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been, I think, a little over a month since I filmed anything, and so we're not going to talk about why. It doesn't really matter, but I will say very vaguely, I've just gone through an amalgamation of different experiences and things that have completely shifted my world, and so when such sudden change comes about in that way, I find that it's been really necessary and very beautiful for me to intentionally find solace in different aspects of my life. And so this video is completely focused on that, the things that I have found a lot of comfort in recent times. And so I really want to talk about that. Okay, first I'm going to be talking about the food and beverages that have been crafted by my own hands. I think my relationship with food has shifted very drastically as of late because I've started going to the gym, and it's definitely shifted for the better. I found that going to the gym and like working out and moving my body definitely works up my appetite and makes me think more about what I'm actually putting into my body and what I'm actually eating. Because the whole idea is like, oh, you're going to the gym, and if you're intentionally putting a lot of time towards strength training and working on different muscle groups of your body, you want to see results and you want to see that growth, and that really is motivated by the food that you eat. But recently, I've just definitely been a lot more ritualistic with all the foods and beverages that I eat, especially the ones that I craft myself. And I find that really beautiful, to be intentionally moving through and doing these steps to create a beverage that I really enjoy. These aren't things that I typically do in like a minute or so. These are things that take time and are intentional and have a lot of effort put into them, which is what I love so much about having the chance to like create all these like drinks and all these like little different kinds of foods and whatnot. But recently I've been very much into baking. And I'll say baking kind of loosely because one of the things that I will mention is a no-bake recipe, but it's a no-bake strawberry cheesecake. It is delectable. It was beautiful. I made it all on my lonesome, and it's really lovely that I've also, over time, as I've started to bake more, I've collected different dishes and pans and whatnot to use in my like baking adventures. Like I have a cake pan now because obviously I made a cake, and recently I made little mini apple pies, and so I have like a cookie tray now that I use for that as well. And all different kinds of things that you can just create. It's so beautiful, it's so slow, it's so ritualistic, and it's very, very fascinating to me. For the no-bake strawberry cheesecake, I think actually I can talk about the steps for sure. I've made it a couple of times, and also I really like the fact that I've been able to grow over time as I've continued trying to bake the same recipe. So now I know what things I need to adjust, what I need to do better, what'll make the crust or the actual cream cheese itself just be really dense and fluffy and perfect and nice. It is a solid bottom of granola graham crackers, just mashed up into like a really fine powder. I did a mixture of mashing them and also blending them, and that really helped to get it really fine. Then with that, you mix in melted butter into that, and that will create your bottom layer. And then for the cream cheese filling, I believe it was powdered sugar, whipping cream, obviously cream cheese blocks, and also I'm totally blanking, but that was definitely some of it. And also I made a strawberry like sauce puree kind of thing on the stove, chopped up strawberry slices, sugar, lemon zest, as well as lemon juice, and then that eventually it all lays on, like it's all layered on, so it's like you have your nice little crust at the bottom, and then it's mashed to make sure it's really solidified in there. Then you also have the cream cheese filling layer, and then at the very top you have that strawberry sauce slash puree that you've cooked up on the stove. And then you can decorate it after it's been in the freezer for a couple hours. So I liked that recipe, first of all, because I think when I initially started trying to bake more, or when I wanted to start baking, I was too intimidated to use the oven. Now I've gotten a little bit more familiar with it, hence why I've made the mini apple pies, which were really quite easy. It was not difficult. I definitely could have made I think it's the pastry crust on my own, but I did do store-bought for that, but not a big deal as well. I didn't want to wash more dishes than I already had to. And then the apple inside filling was also really simplistic to make and really, really yummy. And so that was the first or second time that I've used the oven for like a baking adventure. I live in an Asian household. We don't use the oven that often until like Thanksgiving. And so it's filled and it's just used like kind of as storage. But you know, I worked around that. I moved them out and it's not a big deal. And so I made this little mini apple pies as well, and it was really quite cute. And it made me think of my best friend Max, who a couple years ago was really on like a baking kick, and they made me an apple pie and like delivered it to me. It's very sweet, very lovely. They're one of my favorite people ever. Also though, easy recipe. I made my own granola because I've been on a kick with yogurt bowls and that kind of thing. So I made my own granola. It's literally oats. I used oil, maple syrup, peanut butter. You mix it all together, a bit of cinnamon as well. Mix that all together, and then you can flatten it out. And then I used the little cookie tray that I used for the mini apple pies. Use that, flatten it out, and then you just put it to bake at 350 for 20 minutes. And then after the 20 minutes, you flip it around, put it back in there for another 10, and then it gets it really crispy and nice and golden brown, and it's very, very yummy and very lovely. And the thing that I really love about that is it's such an easy recipe, but at the end of the day, I'm still creating it on my own, and I know what I'm putting into it, and I'm able to do that myself. And I really love easy recipes like that are some things that I implement into what I do and create and use. Like the granola that I made, using it later for my yogurt bowls. And then you can also add additives. I eventually want to try making maybe a chocolate chip one granola as well, and like add chocolate chips in there, that kind of thing, which I just really love the process of creating things. Those are some of the things that I've been creating in terms of food, but I have a lot of beverages that I've been really, really enjoying. Hello, this is voiceover Jade because I wanted to talk to you guys through this. This is me showing you guys my tea. I have Earl Grey, chamomile, and jasmine green tea. I've been making an amalgamation of different beverages with these teas. We're going to start off with a London Fog, and we use Earl Grey for that. And then I'm going to be doing it in this cup specifically, and I already have an Earl Grey tea bag in there. This is the mug that I use just to make the extra concoctions, but you guys will see that. Currently I'm going to be using oat milk in there. This is heavy whipping cream. This is just for the sake of getting it really frothy and nice and really gorgeous when adding it into the Earl Grey tea. Vanilla, pure vanilla flavoring. I think it's imitation vanilla flavoring, and then I get that in there. And then next, after this one, I use maple syrup that my mom got me from Canada, and you can see it because there's the little Canadian bow around it. My mom knows that I love making different things, and so she got me maple syrup for this very purpose. Next, I have my electric frother, and I'm just frothing up the little concoction. I don't let the water completely boil in the kettle because you don't really want your water to be boiling, or else the tea will not be able to have the ultimate amount of flavor. And so I like to make my jasmine green tea cold. I'm using the leftover water in the kettle, not a big deal, because I add extra water, and also I will add ice cubes in it later. Then I'm using 2 different jasmine tea bags. I'm putting it in there, and then I'm also putting in some honey because that's my chosen additive for this beverage, and then I'm going to set that off to the side to steep. Now I'm going to pour in the extra additive to make it a London fog. This is not a purely authentic London fog, don't be mad. And I'm done with that, and then I'm going to set it aside and keep working on the other drinks. I don't typically do this, but today I'm feeling very frisky. I'm feeling like it. This is my chamomile drink. This is how I make it. I pour in some milk into the mug that I'm using just for the sake of measuring it out, and then I'm pouring it into a pot. Then I put that on to the stove on medium, and then I'm going to let that sit for a bit. That sits, I'm starting on making the sea salt cream top for the jasmine tea, the jasmine green tea. I put in the heavy whipping cream, milk, and then I'm putting in some salt. And then, after that, I froth that right up. To prepare for the chamomile beverage, I'm putting in some honey in the mug. Next, I'm adding in a chamomile tea bag into the pot. By the time I'm putting in the chamomile tea bag into the pot, I turn the heat completely off, and then I set it aside just to cool. Okay, I just wanted to get you guys a shot of seeing me pour, but I did not end up pouring it all in here because I got nervous, so I went over to pour it over the sink. Then I put in a bit of cinnamon, and that's pretty much the drink, and it's done. Eat off the jasmine green tea. I have it here, and then here's the sea salt, the sea salt cream top right there. Beautiful. I definitely could have frothed it up more, but I'm not mad about it. And then I was quite pleased with it, so I just put it and set it aside in the fridge so I could actually drink it at its coldest. And that was it for this portion. This next category, we're going to be talking about consumables from other people, and by that I'm referring to media consumption and different kinds of artwork made by different kinds of art made by other people that I've been consuming as of late. First, I'm going to be talking about music. I recently got an iHome, which is essentially a speaker for my iPod, and it is beautiful. It's gorgeous. It literally is like one of my favorite things right now. And the best part, it has a remote. I can just, and then it'll start playing. And then I can cycle through music. That's Lamb of God. But I can cycle through music, I can listen to more music, and it's a really great way to also start weaning off of like my usage of Spotify, especially due to their more peculiar actions as of recently. And so my iPod, it's just physical and real, and all the music on there is mine to listen to as I please. And so it's just really fun to to be able to use it a lot more and also have an output for it rather than just like the fact that I usually only have to use it with headphones, like jack with the jack, and then you just put it in, plug it in, and listen, that kind of thing. So I've been enjoying that a lot more. I'm trying to think of any new recent music that I've been listening to. I've been really enjoying more Fiona Apple recently. Extraordinary Machine is like one of my favorite songs like ever at the moment. I've rediscovered my love for Under the Table. I've also been listening to a lot of Jeff Buckley, as I always do, and I'm Your Man by Leonard Cohen. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, but basically, I've just been enjoying a lot of music as of recently, and it's been really great to have that amplified throughout my room with my speaker. Continuing, I also have books and literature of like all kinds, to be fair. Like I said, I took notes down and I was like books, articles, and all sorts of genres to gain insight and knowledge. I dabble in nonfiction, I dabble in fiction, I dabble in a variety of articles. Recently I've been reading a few that I will also link, but I've read recently, oh my goodness, I need to find the actual and proper name. men aren't wallets, women aren't prizes, and essentially it definitely touches upon a lot of the divine femininity ideas that you kind of see a lot nowadays on like social media and stuff, and I think it's really fascinating. The whole like thesis of the thing is like our relationships with other people shouldn't be defined by these external sources, like whether they can provide money for us, or financial security, or whether we can provide a service to them. It's not dependent on what can be provided. It is dependent on the love and the respect and the trust that you actually have for that individual, and that is the basis of what relationships should be focused on, not financial reasons, or not for this like homemaking reasons, and not for this idea of attaining someone. We're all people, and we all should strive for love in a very truthful, intentional, and meaningful way. And there's a lot of gripes that I have personally with like the divine femininity ideologies of like the sprinkle lady and maybe the wizard Liz, where a lot of it is dependent on finances. And I'm also very wary of also men that perpetuate this idea of women being providers, or not providers, trad wives, and being a homemaker and a baby maker and that kind of thing. I think we all need to start loving people truthfully and honestly and strive for love in that way. I'll also say this article definitely spans a lot, or talks a lot about philosophy, and how those philosophies and philosophers correlate with what this topic kind of touches upon about love and that kind of thing, and connections with other people. So it's a very interesting read. I'll have it linked. This author is so beautifully articulate and so fantastic as a speaker and as a writer. I've seen some of her TikToks, and the way that she verbalizes things is so fascinating, and so I definitely recommend reading that. But I mentioned that because that's something that I've been consuming recently. I'll also say, oh, I'll also say the whole Vogue article, why is having a boyfriend embarrassing? I really want to make a video on my general thoughts on that article and the response that people had for that article, because it's just genuinely really fascinating the way that it got interpreted by such a huge like group of people, and I'd really love to talk about my opinions and thoughts about that with people as well, or with you guys as well, because I think it could call for a really fascinating conversation on the idea of how women perceive men, and how the patriarchy also affects the way that women will perceive men, and also just the idea of decentering men as well, and then also the social media response that that article got, what I think about the article personally, that kind of thing. I'm definitely trying to expand more into like these almost video essays or cultural discussions about things going on very currently. I think it'd be really interesting, and I really hope that's something that maybe you guys would want to hear from me as well. And also, I watched this TikTok, and it was Amina Lee, I believe is her name, and it was really really fascinating, and it definitely talked a lot about capitalism and the way that capitalism is so ingrained into our society. And I eventually had a conversation about this with my partner. The video talked about this book called Capital Realism, Is There No Alternative by Mark Fisher. I saw a video talking about it, specifically bringing up the movie WALL-E, because it's a movie where the end of Earth is entirely motivated by the structures of capitalism, so consumerism and the environmental destruction, whilst still persisting in humanity after they've relocated from the dying Earth. This video shows an example of the movie where the humans are screen addicted and eating like genuine pure slop. But the film serves as an example on how it's difficult to imagine a world without capitalism. In fact, it's easier to imagine the end of the world than it is to imagine the end of capitalism. Really fascinating stuff. It's really interesting the way that capitalism is very baked into our everyday lives and our thinking. But yeah, basically, I've just been kind of consuming a lot of different media and literature and that kind of thing that just ends up expanding your brain and what you're thinking. I'll also say I am reading Heart of a Dog by Mikhail Bulgakov. I'm reading this on my Kindle, and the whole premise of it is this scientist takes a dog off the street and then does surgery on him and ends up creating him into a man. Really fascinating concept and really fascinating plot. And there's a lot I think to say about it in terms of like eugenics and trying to control and create a being. And you can also see it in the way that the scientist reacts to his creation afterwards. I think it even kind of mimics a bit of Frankenstein and Victor Frankenstein and the monster or the creature as well, because it's like the scientist created this creature and brought this creature to life, but then suddenly it's something that's disgusting and a brat and terrible and the worst thing ever, and it ruined your life. And it's so, so fascinating. Anyways, so yeah, that's what I've been consuming a lot recently. Also, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos for the sake of essays, entertainment, that kind of thing. Like specifically, I've been watching a lot of Reddit story videos with my like partner specifically. We've been like listening to it while we play video games. And it's so fascinating to also then do that with someone else and debate and talk and converse about what we think about the story and what it kind of means morally and ethically and what we kind of view it as. It's just really great as well. I watched this video, Know Yourself Without Labeling Yourself by Aleks, also known as Soggy 3. I thought it was a really fascinating video on the way that we define ourselves as individuals and what does what does a sense of self actually truly mean. I think like they're so insightful and I always love watching their videos, so I really would recommend it. I think one thing specifically is like language isn't real. The human or all of our human languages are quite inadequate, and I think it's also very exemplified in the way that some things just don't, that we have so many languages but some things don't translate over well or properly because then there's different connotations in the way different meanings and words are said. That is really fascinating stuff to me, but that was one that I really particularly enjoyed. Not very much a video essay, but definitely a video that I thought was really insightful that I think would be worth the watch if you're into that. Next, I've been playing and dabbling in video games a lot more recently. A bit ago I played a good, not a good chunk, but like a decent bit of Amori, which is really fascinating. It's such a lovely story, and that I'm really trying to get more into the depth of. I've barely just like scratched the surface with that game and the story behind it and the plot of it all, but otherwise I really want to play more of that. But that's something that I've dabbled in recently. And also I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft, specifically because this is my partner's favorite game ever, and so me and him have been playing the game a lot together, and it's been such a fun game in ways that I didn't really actually anticipate or expect, because honestly for me, I'm not like the hugest gamer like at all. I enjoy it and I've played it over the years a lot, but a lot of that basis is the fact that I play with other people, and that's kind of the case here. But also, I was really quite nervous going into the game, first of all, because what if it was something that I didn't enjoy? But I've been really, really loving the game. We've been playing the classic version, as well as Mists of Pandaria, and so I've been really loving it. The game is just really quite fun. I really enjoy the monotony of doing quests and all that jazz. And so video games for sure have been something that I've been consuming recently that I've really been enjoying. And I think for the last thing that I'm going to talk about, and arguably the most significant thing that I'm going to talk about, is spending time with the people that I love and sharing time with the people that I love. I'll give an example of me sharing my sharing interest with somebody that I care about. I've been playing World of Warcraft with my partner, and that's his favorite game, and then he's been watching Doctor Who with me because that's my favorite show, and we've been sharing these things that we care for and that we love about, or that we love with each other. And also, I watch movies with my friend Mason quite a bit, and I'm trying to do that more because it's just fun spending time with someone else and then watching something and then being able to talk about that something and discuss that something. So it's been great in general, like doing that kind of thing. Also, I'd say yeah, spending time with the friends that I love. My friends are away at university, but whenever they come home to visit, we always figure it out and dedicate time to spend with each other and hang out with each other. Most recently, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, a week or two ago, I spent time with my friends Saisha and Yvonne, who are people that you've seen on the channel, and also a different friend, Linda. And it was so like lovely to just be around these like sweet, lovely girls and to spend time with like friends that I care about. And they were there with me when I drove on the freeway, which I don't do generally because I get particularly anxious. But like getting on there was the easiest thing ever, and it was fine. And it was something that I overcame with my friends there with me, because Yvonne has driven on the freeway. She did guide me a little bit, but eventually you get the hang of it. It was pretty intuitive. But yeah, spending a lot of time with the people that I love. We went to Irvine, we hung out, we ate food, we chatted, we took photo booth pictures, which I'll have here because they're really cute and I love my friends. And that kind of thing. Just spending time with the people that I love and talking with them and conversing. It's like so lovely. Literally some of my favorite people ever. And then also sharing articles and information with people. One thing that's really important to me is being able to talk about politics with my friends and talk about these real world things that's happening currently. And I was able to do that with my lovely girlfriends, with my partner, and just also, yeah, all of my friends I'm able to talk about these kinds of things with, which is so important to me that I can share information, they can share information to me, and then we can all go around talking about different things and just being more informed by conversing with each other about things that are happening and the stuff that we know is going on. So yeah, that's it. I really love like the people that I'm around, and I specifically specify the fact that spending time with the people that I love is just in general like one of my biggest comforts in life, is because we're not meant to ever be alone. We are people, we are communicative, we're social, and we love people. I love people. I love talking to strangers. I love making friends. I love closely interacting with all the people that I currently know and have already met and known for years and care about. It's just really beautiful to be around other people, and I'm so internally grateful for everybody that I know and that have been with me through like everything in my life. And it's just really lovely to like be surrounded by such great people, and so I'm very grateful, and all that jazz. So these have been my solaces recently and the things that I find a lot of comfort in. And this is just another chatting video, as I always do, but a lot of this is just very, oh, well, most of my videos are chatting videos. I'll get back on topic eventually with reading a lot more. I really want to dabble in Colleen Hoover. Not because I like Colleen Hoover, but because, oh my goodness, I really want to read a terrible book that I really won't enjoy, that I know I won't enjoy, but it's going to be fun to read it because I know I won't enjoy it. That kind of thing might be a little bit spiteful on my end. But I really want to read a Colleen Hoover book and then talk to you guys about that kind of thing. I really just want to do a lot more output for all the things that I like to talk about and that I find really fun and interesting. And so you guys will be hearing from me soon, and I really appreciate you guys. And thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are the best, and I'm sorry for being MIA, but I appreciate all of you, truly.